What up, y'all? You know what it is. It's your man, Freeway Rick Ross, and I'm on my man, Bootleg Kev Podcast. Check him out.
Bootleg Kev Show, we got a special guest in here. This guy's a legend. Freeway Rick Ross is in the building.
What's up, Kev?
Man, it's good to finally meet you. Shout out to my guy Amir who connected us. I feel like I've been trying to interview you for so long. I just never ended up happening.
I walk the streets every day, man. All you gotta do is just holler out.
It's good to finally meet you, man. I obviously I've been following your story for a really long time. You've done such a good job of building an enterprise, building just different streams of revenue since you got out, man. I mean, I feel like you got out and the real work started, right?
Yeah, ain't no question. Well, not really, because I worked when I was in jail. Believe it or not, I did not have enough time when I was in jail. I wanted more time.
Really?
Yeah, I wished I had more time.
So how would you spend your days, like, and in what ways were you still working on outside stuff while you were incarcerated?
Every day. I was getting schooled by Wendy Day on marketing.
Wendy Day's a legend in the music industry.
Yep, that was one of my personal coaches. You know, we emailed back and forth 4 or 5 times a day. I just tried to stay in touch with the streets. You know, what was going on, who was moving. You'd be surprised of some of the people that I was communicating with from behind the bars.
Who was somebody? I mean, obviously you mentioned Wendy Day, but were there anybody else that, whether it was actors, directors, artists, musicians that would
Snoop, Dre?
They all reached out.
Well, they necessarily didn't reach out. I reached out to them.
Yeah.
You know, I knew somebody with connections. Bernard Hopkins.
Shout out to Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins is a real one.
Who else? It's a lot of people. You know, I found the alcoholics while I was in jail.
You found the licks?
Yeah, I found the licks.
You talking about Tash, King T? Well, King T was a part of the Liquid crew.
Yeah, King T was
King T wasn't in the licks.
Had I listened to King T, I'd be the king of hip hop.
Wow.
I did not listen to King T.
What did King T tell you?
Well, I was hanging out with Dick Griffey.
By the way, shout out to J-Ro and E Swift. I just want to make sure I know all three. I know all 3 members of the Licks.
I was hanging out with a guy by the name of Otis Smith, who was the owner of Beverly Glen Music. He introduced me to Dick Griffey, Barry Gordy, and at the same time, I'd already started dipping into hip hop.
This is while you're
no. This is before.
This is before. Okay, so this was
before I went to prison. This was before NWA.
Okay.
At that time, Run DMC might have been.
So this is like early to mid '80s.
Yep. So I was already dipping in hip hop. You know, we had the DJ equipment, and you know, we doing a little thing. King T told me to mess with him, DJ Pooh, but instead I gave the money to Otis Smith to do Anita Baker's first record.
Wow.
And had I known that hip hop was going to be what it became, I would have went on and did DJ Pooh album anyway. Instead of not doing it, you know, I still could have did it, but I was like, this young boy, he was only about 17 years old.
Yeah, so. King T, for people don't give him enough credit. He's one of the young pioneers in LA
well,
hip-hop.
Dre learned how to work the drum machine from Master Spade and King T.
Now, King T doesn't get enough flowers.
Oh, no question. No, well, you know, and that's why when King T was going through his little thing, you know, Dre gave him a deal.
Right.
I don't remember what year it was, but Dre gave him a nice little deal. You know, try to boost him up, get him back on his feet. But yeah, King T had told me to mess with hip hop. He was like, man, stick with the hip hop, and you know, I'm listening to these guys that got platinum albums and you know, walls decorated, look like your wall right here. So right. I'm like, who do you listen to? The 17-year-old kid or the pioneers of R&B? And it was a decision that was easy for me to make. You know, I went with them.
Of course. How did you discover the Licks? From
Well, when I was in MDC, as soon as I walked in the door, the first person I ran into was Harry O. So Harry O pulled me into his cell. We were cellies. And
you and Harry O were cellies?
Yeah, we were cellies.
Okay.
When they started Death Row.
Okay. That's crazy to know, because I mean, just the chances of that happening. Like, you guys ended up.
I mean, but you're talking about guys who pretty much ran the streets out here, and even though we wasn't really good friends on the street, we were kind of compatible. You don't want to be in the cell with somebody that you can't talk to, relate to. You want to be with somebody that you can relate to. If you're gonna have a cellie, first you don't want a cellie, but if you're gonna have one, you want somebody.
It's got to be somebody who you could actually be friends with.
Yes. So when I leave MDC and go to the pen in Arizona, I get to the pen, they turn on BET, and there was Snoop and Dr. Dre, 187 on Undercover Cop.
What prison were you at in Arizona?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Well, which was it, Buckeye?
No, Black Canyon.
Okay.
The name of it's FCI Phoenix is what it's called.
Okay.
But it's in Black Canyon.
Okay.
So when I saw that, I was like, damn, Harry finna make it. Death Row is finna blow. So I got right on the phone. Man, where King T at? Give me King T number. So they gave me King T number. I was like, man, I need an artist. And he was like, my video finna drop Saturday. Look at my video. Let me know if you like these little dudes. It was the Licks.
The Alcoholics, man. Shout out to Tash and those guys.
And then what's even colder than that, they living with my cousin.
Really? So they were related to you. You didn't even know it.
Yeah, they was living with my cousin. So it was a real easy fix. And then Fade, I don't know if you know Fade Devion.
I know of Fade.
Well, Fade was also, at that time, Fade was the head promoter over at Loud Records. But he was going to quit Loud Records and come and run Freeway Records for me.
Wow.
So doing that transition, he got the job over at Interscope. And he was still gonna quit though and come and run my label. That was our plan. He was gonna quit his job and come run my label. I go to the hole, messing with one of my partners who's in the hole. He telling me to call this girl, and the case manager called me and locked me up. So when I go to the hole, I'm in the hole like 30 days, no phone call, no mail, no nothing. Fade signed him to Loud Records.
Wow. Yeah, because they ended up on Loud with like Wu-Tang and Exhibit.
That's how they ended up on Loud with Riskins.
And they probably should have ended up on Freeway Records.
Yeah, they should have. And then I was kind of dude too, where I wasn't gonna like sweat. Like it wasn't their fault that I went to the hole, and even though we had already agreed on the deal and everything, right. I was just like, go ahead, y'all do y'all thing.
So take me back. You said that you bankrolled Anita Baker's first record. So because obviously in your position you have a lot of money that you need to put places, and you need to. Yeah,
I was looking for
legitimate businesses,
things to get me out of the dope game.
Of course,
I didn't want to be in the dope game.
So how does this Anita Baker story happen? I mean, obviously you told us you linked with you just said his name. I'm sorry,
Otis Smith.
Otis Smith.
When I was in high school, and another mistake I made, not being young, not really understanding business at the time. I was a tennis player.
Okay.
Otis Smith had a son that he wanted to be a professional tennis player. His son was about 3 years younger than me. So Otis would come pick me up from high school, would pay me $20 for me. And at that time, that was a lot of money.
Yeah, $20 back then. I mean, $20 in the 90s was lit.
Would buy me tennis shoes, would buy me rackets to go and play with his son. I played with his son just about every day.
Wow.
After school. I would finish at the tennis team, do my little tennis practice at the school, and then he would pick me up. We'd go to Beverly Hills, Hollywood. It was another place where Kennedy got killed at. It used to be a tennis club, a really nice tennis club. He was a few tennis clubs. He was the only black that went there. Right. Nobody else. LA Tennis Club in Hollywood, he was the only member for the longest. There was no other black member beside Otis Smith in that club. So he would take me to those places, and I would play with his son. Hour and 20 minutes, whatever time it took us to play a couple sets. So I grew up, though. After I was 16, 17, I think 17, 18, I stopped playing with him. I dropped out of high school and went back to the streets. So we hadn't saw each other for years. And all this is in my book. If you get a chance to read
your book's been out for a while, too.
It's been out about 5 years.
Yeah, it's been out for a minute.
But they still don't nobody know about it.
Yeah.
It's still kind of like unknown. You know,
You can still buy it on Amazon, I'm sure.
Don't go to Amazon and get it,
Don't
please.
go.
No.
Where should they go?
Go to Freeway Rick Ross and get my book.
Buy the book there.
That way you can get it autographed.
You get it autographed and you get to keep all the money. You don't got to give Amazon their cut.
Yeah, I don't want to give Jeff Bezos nothing.
He's got enough.
I'm hating on Jeff.
Yeah, for sure. Rich motherfuckers go to space.
So I loved Otis. Let me say that there.
Yeah.
So one day I'm just like chilling out right here in Santa Monica. It was a professional tennis tournament going on. And I ain't seen Otis in 5-6 years. You know, I got hair on my face now. I'm a grown man.
Getting money.
I ain't 16 no more. I got about $2-3 million cash. And I'm at the tennis court. I'm by myself. You know, no homies don't want to go to no tennis match. And I'm just kicked back on the bench and got my hand, got my cell phone, and, you know, just relaxing. This is a relaxed day. And then I look up, there was little Otis. Now he's like 6'3" and hitting
His
the ball.
son.
His son.
Yeah.
Hitting the ball a ton. And he's playing against the #1 guy from Stanford. Big guy, looks like a linebacker, and they start arguing. And then the guy from Stanford, the whole team is backing him. Otis, he's playing at UCLA, the only black guy on the team.
Right.
Nobody backing him. He's by himself. I said, man, I better get some help. So I got on the phone. I called all the guys. I was like, man, some white boys finna jump on me out here in Santa Monica. I'm at boo. You know, they was in L.A. We in Santa Monica. They was there in like 5 minutes. I heard motorcycles, tires screeching, and
That's a hell of a time to get that far.
As soon as they come, the kid who little Otis is arguing with hit the daddy in the eye. Bam. And then my guys is coming over the fence. I see them coming over the fence, and they looking at me like, "He do that?" And they don't even know Otis, but they just know it's a black guy and a white guy fighting. Right. So, and then I just gave them the nod, and they wouldn't handle their business. So when they broke it all, I went and broke it all up. I didn't want none of my guys going to jail.
So that relationship kept...
It started all over again.
It started all over
from
again.
that day. So Otis don't even know that I did that for him.
Right.
Like, he don't know what happened. He just know, man, damn, somebody saved my life, because he was finna get massacred.
I can imagine.
So then the tennis coach, my high school tennis coach, comes up. He's the one that introduced me to Otis, because he knew I needed money in high school. So they started talking, and I'm just standing back to the side listening, you know, glad to see my old coach again, you know, because my coach was nice to me. You know, he helped me out a lot in life. So Otis started telling him about the music business, because I never knew. I just knew Otis drove a brand new Rolls Royce convertible, you know, in the 70s. Like,
right.
I don't know what you do. You know, I don't even care what you do.
Right.
Just keep giving me them 20s. So he was talking to Coach Smith about the music business, and then he was like, man, Rick is the one that you should be talking to. He got more money than Sin. And Otis looked at me, and he was trying to figure out, did he know me? He's like, Little Rick, man. He's like, Little Rick. And he was like, yeah. So then I came over, we shook hands, and he's like, man, it's been a long time. I'm going to take you out for dinner. And then the coach said, he probably want to save your life out here. So the relationship started. The next day, he took me up to his office, you know, showed me all the plaques, you know, Johnny Taylor.
Right.
He found Rick James, you know, his list, he was just decorated. So I was already dipping in hip hop right then. You know, I was messing with some local rappers here, and I had some rappers from Chicago I'd already sent for that eventually signed with Russell Simmons.
What was their names?
6 Pack or something like that there. They didn't get big.
Right, okay.
You know, they got a little mediocre.
Yeah.
Local celebrities. Yeah. So Otis started talking to me about this girl that he was going to produce. And he needed the money to produce her. He didn't even have the money to send for her. I gave him the money to send her ticket from Detroit to come out here. And we got an apartment up in Hollywood Hills, and just started from there.
Anita Baker.
I never got into the business, though. You know, I just gave him the money. Here's the money. So
did you get a return on your investment?
No. She jumped the label.
Okay.
She jumped the label, went to I forgot the name of the label. I paid for the attorney to sue her.
Oh, wow. It's crazy because, like, I think so many people have kind of, like, based on I guess the misconception that like Snowfall is like directly about you, even though they couldn't say that because they didn't drop the bag off that they should have probably dropped the bag off for you.
Well, they might be getting ready to drop it now. You know, I got the phone call. They want to sit down.
They want to sit down?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of what, though?
I don't know.
In terms of like bringing you into the fold?
They just told me they want me to come to the studio. What we going to talk about, I don't even know.
The Snowfall producers or the network or the show? I mean, obviously John Singleton passed away. Rest in peace.
They say he said he was a producer.
I mean, but it has to do with Snowfall, or is it separate?
No, they Snowfall.
I mean, because listen, if anyone who's familiar with your story, I mean, like it.
Well, they know they changed commercials when they aired the first commercials on Snowfall. My fans gave them the blues. Hashtagging John Singleton, Snowfall. I mean, FX, all of them. Hey, this is Rick's story. Y'all stole Rick's story.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not the same, because then you could sue the living shit out of them. Did you try to sue?
No, I thought about it. I talked to a few lawyers. It's a tough suit.
It is a tough.
It can be won.
It's a tough lawsuit.
It's a tough lawsuit. Intimate domain. You know, I got so much stuff in newspapers.
Right.
Right. So it's a tough.
So if you think about like the show, I mean, as far as the first season, I guess, how much of that do you feel like was really?
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it, okay?
I only started watching the show after I got the call from Dave. And he wanted me to come be a part of his podcast after the snow. Before that, I never watched Snowfall. I probably had glanced, passing by and seeing it on TV. Now, I did have lunch with Franklin before. I was at Whole Foods downtown one day.
With the actor?
Yeah.
The English guy. Something Idris is his name. I forget his first name.
Yeah, I don't know his name, but
seems like a nice guy.
I'm trouble with names.
Seems like a nice guy.
Very nice guy. I like him.
So you guys had dinner?
Lunch.
You guys had lunch. Did he like try to pick your brain or
no,
how was that convo?
I was sitting there because I didn't know who he was.
Okay, because you're like, I don't even watch the fucking show.
I don't watch the show. So
Yeah.
how would I know who you are?
Yeah.
And he walked up and he was like, "You Mr. Ross?" And I was like, "Yeah." And my managers were sitting there and they was like, "That's the guy from Snowfall." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Sit down. You can sit down." And so he sit down and we just started talking. He was like, "Man, I don't know why John ain't got you on the set. And I would do a much better job if I had you around." And, we just went through the little thing. He probably was blowing a little smoke too,
Of course. Of course. He runs into you and he's like, "Hey."
So, but it was a cool conversation. And we just got up after we finished eating, we just got up and we went our separate ways.
So, because obviously in the show, like, it's very much kind of like, I'm assuming there wasn't a bunch of tennis players in your hood where you were growing up at, right?
For black tennis players, we probably had the biggest black population of tennis players maybe in the country.
Were you a good student in school?
Terrible
student. Good athlete though.
When I say terrible, I mean terrible as far as is doing the work and stuff like that. I didn't really like mess up a lot in school. I was probably
you were a good kid, but
I was a good kid, but
you weren't applying yourself to school.
Couldn't read or write.
You couldn't read and write?
No.
Oh wow. Okay. So, take me to is the parallels of the show and the CIA, and obviously we all know that the Contra wars are being funded through all this crazy ass shit that was going on with the CIA. Is that part accurate in terms of what you were dealing with your plug and all that shit?
I didn't know that my guy was a CIA operative.
You didn't know until you were incarcerated.
Right. When Gary Webb broke the story is when I found out that the guy I'd been getting my drugs from was a CIA operative.
And how long was that your guy? Like was it from the jump? I
sold drugs for about 8 years. He wasn't the main guy all along, but in the drug business, there's probably 3 or 4 guys in between.
There is.
So you have to work your way through each level of participants in order to get to the top honcho.
Were there situations in which you felt like the fact that you were indeed dealing with law enforcement without knowing it, and that they kind of needed you out on the streets getting this money?
No, I had the total opposite. because they had the Freeway Task Force.
So they had the the Freeway Task
separate.
They were separate
from them. So the Freeway Task Force is kicking my ass.
That's the LAPD. Or is that
the sheriffs? LAPD.
That's the LAPD and sheriffs, which have no idea about this other thing that's going on over here with the CIA.
They found out after they raided as well that.
Do you think that they, like the CIA, like maybe protected you in certain aspects where that could have been worse on the sheriff and LAPD? Like, was there like an invisible hand that maybe kind of came?
I don't think so. Handcuffed and hog-tied, your legs hog-tied and beating the head with a flashlight and a dog biting you.
Fucking crazy.
You think you were protected? Would you feel like you was protected?
Probably not.
No.
Probably not.
So I didn't feel like I was protected.
What was the first time where you decided like, this is something I need to really do? Was it, because, like you said, like when it comes to dealing drugs, I've sold weed and other things. There's like a moment where you realize, oh, there's real money here. Like you start off a certain way. Like at what point in time did you realize I could turn this into an enterprise? Was it like after you got your first key? Like what?
No. My first 50 I got beat out of. I sold it to one of the big homies. Well, I didn't sell it to him. We didn't know what it was. Me and my boy who I was working with, we didn't know what cocaine was. I'd never seen cocaine before.
And this is prior to the crack era really kicking in.
Yeah,
correct?
This is still powder.
This is straight powder.
I mean, they rocking it up, but we didn't know how to rock it.
You didn't know what the fuck it was. No. Freebasing wasn't popular yet, I guess, right?
Freebasing was, yeah. Freebasing was it was popular, but not to me.
Mm. And it had
Richard Pryor had already been freebasing.
Okay.
Richard Pryor had already been getting down. So I had never saw cocaine. I never saw weed at the time. Remember, I was a tennis player.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I was a square.
Mm-hmm.
So when my partner called me over and showed me the cocaine for the first time, the only place I saw cocaine was on Superfly.
Some real shit.
Yeah. So I was a novice.
So
I got beat out my first 50.
When you say that, what do you mean?
Okay, he took it. My guy Martin, who was the big homie, took it, rocked it up, and he sampled it. And at that time, he got back a piece of rock that was about the size of a match head. You probably never seen a match.
Of course I've seen a match. Come on.
You seen matches before?
I'm 35 bro, I'm 35. I'm not 12. We can go to 7-Eleven and get free matches right now.
Yeah, they still have matches?
Yeah, they got to.
I don't know.
If you buy cigarettes, you can say, I need a matchbook.
I haven't saw a match in 30, 40 years.
Shit, they're still out there.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's about the size of a match head. And he said, well, it rocked up, but now I got to taste it. And he cut a little piece off of it, and it was just a teeny piece left. And he threw it on the pipe, and he tasted it, and he said, I need another taste. And next thing you know, it's like a little teeny weeny piece. He said, man, I'm going to just smoke that and I'll pay you Friday.
That's $50 worth, right?
So now, with my boy, $50, I'm already broke. So I'm really fucked up now. So I'm sitting on the porch again. Like, damn, I got to call the homie and tell him I ain't got his 50.
Right. $50 is, a decent amount of money.
No, back then it was a nice piece of money.
Yeah.
So I guess about an hour or two later, Martin pulled up again, the one who had smoked all the rock. And he had Big Mouse with him. This is the first time I ever met Big Mouse. Mm-hmm. Mouse used to hang out with Tookie Williams, and he was one of their guys, swole. And he jumped out. He had $100. He's like, man, we want $100 worth for that. And I was like, damn. I ain't got it. So I said, let me go call my boy. So I called Mike. I told Mike everything that happened. Like, look, man, I ain't got your 50.
But I got somebody here with 100.
We got 100. If you want it, you can come get it. I'm going to get you your 50 whenever I get it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm on my way. That was my first sale. And I was like, damn, this shit got value.
It got value. That's crazy. At what point in time did you realize that re-rocking cocaine was the most profitable business model for you to really get the most out of what you were getting from?
Well, how that kind of came about is people would come over early in the mornings, 7, 8 in the morning before they go to work. They want to get a hit before they go to work, and they'd be like, damn, man, I ain't got no utensils. Utensils was the stuff that they cooked it up with. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I got a bottle, and I would let them use my bottle, and they'd cook it up, and then I was like, damn, won't I just have it ready rock for them?
Ready to go. Because it's like...
And then we start calling it Ready Rock. Oh, we got that Ready Rock. We got powder, we got Ready Rock. Which one you want?
Which one do you want?
And so more people start asking for rock than powder, and then pretty soon it just fades powder all the way out.
Hey, we got to stop the interview real quick, man. Shout out to our sponsors at MyBookie. Now, if you're into sports like me, you like to win money, what are we doing? Go to MyBookie right now, man. Let's get in on some of this action. MyBookie. Go sign up, get the double deposit bonus. This is what this means. When you sign up at MyBookie right now, all right, whatever money you deposit, they're going to match it. They're going to double it for you up to $1,000, but you got to use the keyword, the promo code Bootleg. That's right. Use that promo code Bootleg when you sign up at MyBookie. They're going to double your deposit. Listen, March Madness is coming up. My favorite time of the year to gamble is March Madness. It is so much fun. You don't got to know a fucking thing about college basketball. It is just fucking turned up. I love to go to, listen, March Madness. That's really all you need to know. Get your account before then. Thank me later. Also, NBA action is finally back. Throw down some futures. Who you think is going to win the MVP? Joel Embiid, Jokic, Devin Booker, a little dark horse. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Suns. You got to go to MyBookie, though. Sign up. Get down right now, all right? Get double your money, double your deposit. You put in $1,000, they're going to match that, give you a whole nother $1,000 to gamble with. MyBookie.ag. Use the promo code Bootleg, double your deposit. My own close family members had their bouts early on in my childhood with crack, but crack is like one of those things that like I feel like when you see the things people go through to get it, and they know that it's detrimental to their lifestyle, but they still go through all those things, and they still it's almost like being a crackhead is like a real full-time job just to get high. It's like if you wake up every day and your goal is to get crack, it's like that's like your full-time job.
That become your goal. Yeah, I saw people quit, before I started selling crack, would quit jobs that we would have killed for.
Right. And it's like,
I'm quitting, man. I'm finna come out there and work with y'all. Like, homie, you ain't gonna make it out here in these streets.
Did you ever try it?
I tried it for about 2 weeks.
And what? I mean,
I got sick.
You got sick. Thank God, because if you really liked it, you would have had.
I would have. I mean, I knowing me, I would have had the strength to quit though.
Yeah.
And I've had friends that I've helped quit. Like was out there and they came back and then started having money.
Yeah, it's crazy because you think of like some of the, I guess when you think of being a drug dealer, the moral line that you're walking, where it's like, okay, at the time you don't understand in 20 or 25 years from now how you're going to be necessarily affecting the outcome. Crack era.
Absolutely.
Like you don't know that when you're living it because it's you can't see. There's no historical context.
Nobody really knew though, because
no one knew, right?
Nobody knew about crack at that time.
Yeah, it was something new, and I'm sure it started off as people doing it recreationally. Because I have friends like Brian Sampson, shout out my guy Brian, who did crack in the '80s. He used to say he used to just freebase before he'd fuck. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, we used to do it in the '80s, but like we didn't really know it was crack yet. We just called it freebasing." Right.
No, you're absolutely right.
So like people, I think it started off as something where,
and the people who was doing it all had money, because you figure back then when I started, a gram of cocaine was worth like $350, $375 for a gram. So everybody couldn't afford to freebase.
Extremely rich, and at the time there was no Ready Rock, so people had to buy that and then do that shit on their own, like you said, right? Do you think that you were
the basin? They used to eat the base. When I first started, they was eat the basin.
Were you you think you were one of the first people who decided to pre-package it and have it ready? The Ready Rock aspect.
LA Times said I was the first crack millionaire. And it's hard to say because we don't keep stats. We just be trying to stack as much money as we can.
Do you feel any sort of remorse or guilt just kind of knowing like your part in the crack epidemic?
Well, you know what? People ask me that, and I used to contemplate with how to answer that question, but I know how to answer it now. I did an article with a young lady in Chicago from the Chicago Tribune, mm-hmm. and when she headlined her article, she said, "No regrets, only lessons." Mm. So I learned a lot from being in the cocaine game. I'm happy with myself right now. I'm happy with my life. I'm happy the way my life turned out. Even my prison time, I accept that as being part of
Your journey.
Of my journey, of my rites to passage, and who I am right now. Had I never been involved with cocaine, I couldn't be who I am today. You know, I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm going to do in the future.
Were there ever little things that happened where you were dealing with your plug that might have, like, that in retrospect you think back on, or you thought back on when you realized that they were indeed, you know, CIA or whatever?
Nah.
Were there ever like little things where you're like, you know what? Now that I know that, this, it kind of makes sense.
Nothing like what they doing on Snowfall. You know, I'm looking at these guys. They like walk through locks, doors, and walls, and you know they got super senses. You know, where they can just like figure out that somebody's watching them, and they're like, no, that shit don't really happen in the dope game. You know, we just like normal motherfuckers. We make mistakes. You know, forget shit. But no.
Do you remember the time you knew for the first time you had $1 million? Because I feel like that first million's got to be memorable. I mean, there was times where you were making $3 million a day, right?
The 100,000, my first 100,000 was more memorable than
your first million.
Yeah, than my first million. Because you know, the dope game it's kind of funny, because once you make 100,000, it gets really easy to make 100,000.
That's, a lot of people don't know that, but
to get to an ounce was tough. That was like pulling teeth out to get to an ounce of cocaine. You know, to save up $2,800. Like, wow, I ain't gonna never get there. And then once I did it, it was like 4 ounces and 10 ounces, 100 ounces. You know, just like kept spinning. And that's the same way with money. You know, once you get to a certain level, say for instance, when you're working with 100,000, it's easy to profit $30,000-$40,000.
Yeah, I mean, once you have that 100K, you start playing in a different game in terms of the amount of money you can
generate.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you really what you do is what I did. See, like what I found out about myself is that I don't look at myself no more as a cocaine dealer. I was a cocaine banker. So I would do like banks do, go get money from somebody and then take it and break it down to a bunch of other people and then make a percentage off of each one of those people. And that's how my money was generated.
Wow. So, yeah, that makes sense. Cocaine banker. I like that. I like that. That's pretty wild. For people who don't know, what area of LA, what was your neighborhood?
South Central. 87th and Figueroa.
Okay. So when you're growing up, you're coming up in the late 70s, early 80s, right?
60s. I was there when the Watch riots happened.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I saw the Watch riots. Yeah, I was there. I saw the burn, baby burn. You know, the army tanks rolling down the street, the army men.
I mean, you were there for the beginning of what we, you know, is you know, we live in LA, so we're fully, at least, you know, obviously both of us, but a lot of people culturally think of LA. They think of the two biggest gangs in the world are the Bloods and Crips in terms of just culturally, right? And like, I feel like your come up, you were actually kind of there before Bloods and Crips were world famous. Mm-hmm. You were probably running a lot of those blocks before it became like a thing.
Well, no, they was there before I started selling cocaine.
So they were there already. I'm just curious, like that.
I remember when the Crips and Bloods played football against each other.
Wow.
Before they were enemies. I remember the first person that got killed at the park. You know, we had all my little crew, we had all rode our bikes to the beach, and we sneak and ride our bikes to the beach because we was only about 10 years old. But back then, you know, you could run around LA and didn't have to be, you know, worried about nothing happened to you. I would let my 10-year-old kids run the streets now in LA, but
of course,
back then we did it. You know, about 10 of us, 15 of us, we get on our bikes and we just ride to the beach. And we were coming back from the beach this night, and it was just before dawn. You know, the sun was still up a little bit. And when we got to the park, we see the park taped off and cops everywhere. And it was like, what happened? And then we found out that one of the Crips killed the Blood.
That's so wild.
Over a football game.
Over a football game.
One of them's tooth got knocked out.
And from there, it was
started a fight.
Escalated.
And then the other one went to the car and got his gun.
That's so crazy. What, because it would have been easy for you to get sucked into that life, right?
I wanted to be a Crip.
You wanted to be a Crip.
Yeah.
What was it
when I was about 12?
I was gonna say, what was it? Because you're obviously running your enterprise later on. Was it easy to navigate, kind of being independent, if that makes sense?
Well, I was a kid. I was only 12 years old. So
I just mean in terms of when you started to finally kind of get into the streets.
Well, when I came back to the streets, though, when I quit playing tennis, I was a grown man.
But I mean, did you still have to kind of deal with some of those politics?
Yeah, but they was my homeboys.
Okay.
I went to school with them. It's like my neighborhood is like the Crips is right here on Figueroa, and then you go a block or two over, it's the Bloods.
Right.
So it's only like, it ain't even a quarter mile between, the two sets. Like the two sets kind of like mingle into each other on certain areas, like you could be walking down the street and you would see the Bloods walking on that street, and then, you see the Crips just a little off. So they were close to each other.
Yeah, no, that's crazy, because like I just feel like that was before, because now we think of like, I mean, there's Blood sets and Crip sets all over the world, and just like, I guess
it's amazing. I never would have thought that at one time.
Yeah, it's wild. It is crazy. And even when we think of just gangs in general, we just think of Crips. I mean, in the United States, like people think of Crips and Bloods as like the two biggest gangs. Like obviously there's motorcycle gangs, there's Hell's Angels, there's all that. But
oh, for sure.
It's a wild thing to think that you were there.
Well, the Crips and the Bloods get the most notoriety probably, out of, it's something about, being black in America, where they like to promote negative stuff about us.
That's true. And then also just the
it even baffles me when I went to jail. I made every news channel in the country, Nightline, Dateline, 2020, 60 Minutes. Well, I've been out. I spoke at Stanford University, Yale, not Yale.
That's not on Dateline. That's not on 2020. Yeah, they
haven't said nothing about it.
Of course not. Yeah, I mean it's the same way that like
and for me, I'm like, you got a guy that was illiterate. Now he's getting paid to talk at Stanford University, USC Law School, UCLA. I mean, if that ain't some amazing shit,
what is?
What is? For a guy who couldn't read, couldn't write, now the universities are paying him to go and talk to the smartest students. I'm like, what the fuck? It's
just this society, man. It's like when we think of like when you turn on the news, like they're not talking about the good shit going on. They're only talking about the shit
that's the stuff that really like even I even broke down the John Singleton situation, right? Because I knew John fucked with me.
Right.
He fucked with me for real. I know when motherfuckers faking.
Of course.
So me and him sat down, we chopping it up, we done ate together. So I know that he liked me.
Yeah.
So I was thinking a couple weeks ago, like when I started doing this show after the snow with Dave, I started really like just opening my mind up and like really thinking. So I was like, damn, I bet John Singleton went to FX and say, man, I got Rick Ross and I got this show.
And they probably were like, we'll take the show.
We don't want Rick Ross.
That's interesting. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, from all accounts I've heard, like John was a pretty stand-up dude.
I don't know. I don't think he should have did the deal though. He should have said, you ain't taking Rick Ross, you can't have the show. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I also think it's obvious that it was loosely based around your life. Like, it's obvious. You could go to this page. If you go to John Singleton's Instagram page, you got me and him hugging, taking a picture with my book. He bought one of my first books, and he said, Rick Ross, great story, Snowfall coming soon. I didn't know it until somebody brought it to my attention.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah, no, that's unfortunate. When someone has the amount of money that you have, you start to learn, you're kind of forced to learn some financial literacy, right? Because that's a lot of fucking money.
Your money will teach you.
What are some of the lessons that having that much wealth accumulated at such a young age that you learned that you would try to spread to other people? Because financial literacy is one of those things that, unfortunately isn't taught in schools enough.
Well, I learned that your money will work harder than you. A lot of people try to work to make money, but you should let money work for you.
That's some real shit.
And basically I figured that out, and once I did, that's when I would go buy $1 million worth of cocaine, and then I would pass it out to different people, and then the next day they would all bring me my money back.
Because you ain't standing on the corner selling your fucking self.
Exactly.
That's your money working for you. Yeah, I mean, and I think that in terms of just what the wealthiest people we know, that's what they do.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether they have stocks that go up and down, shit, as simple as a vending machine. You have a vending machine. That vending machine, you're not there. The vending machine is making...
That's your money working.
It's working for you. Yeah.
If you go out and buy a bulldozer, that's your money working.
Piece of property, rent it out. There it is. Was there any assets you were able to keep after you got arrested, or did they take everything?
I had a few pieces of property. I used to own the theater over on Crenshaw and Adams. I was going to build a West Coast Apollo over there. And what else I had? I had a few pieces of property. I sold my motel before they indicted. I mean, once I knew that I was indicted, I started trying to sell my assets because I knew that they was going to take. Yeah, they was going to try to take the big ones. My lawyer was like, "Get rid of everything that you think they know about."
You knew it was coming. You had an idea.
Well, what happened is even though my indictment was a secret indictment, one of my cousins killed himself. And I go to the scene because I couldn't believe he had did it. So I go over there where he was at, and then one of the cops had peeped me. And then somebody was like, "Man, that cop just mentioned your name to the other cop." And I was like, "I ain't tripping. I'm good." I hadn't even been selling dope for a year and a half at that time. And the cop came over, and he was like, "You Rick Ross?" And I was like, "Nah." And I had fake ID. So, "Let me see your ID." So I pulled out my bunk ID and I handed it to him. And he was looking at his partner. His partner like, "That's him." And when he said that, dude said, "Turn around." When he cuffed me, I took off running. So I knew from that day that I was wanted.
Something was coming because they were trying to throw you in some cuffs.
Yeah, they was finna cuff me. They was finna cuff me.
So you started to get your assets in order, or get your assets.
Well, I called a lawyer.
Liquidated.
I called a lawyer the next day. Like, "Man, they was gonna arrest me out here."
You must have had a fire ass lawyer in the 80s.
I did. They didn't like him either though.
Is he still practicing law?
I don't know. He done got old. He's about 70-something years old now.
I always think, you ever watch Breaking Bad?
I never watched it.
He's got the guy, he's a big meth dealer, and he's got this like go-to lawyer, Saul Goodman. He's like a crazy guy. But I can imagine being your lawyer in the 80s had to be a stressful and also profitable gig to take.
Yeah, he made a lot of money.
I bet he did. I bet he did.
He kept us out of jail though.
I bet he did.
That was the most important thing, is keep my guys out of jail.
That had to be nice to have somebody like that in your corner to kind of guide you through the legalities of like, hey,
oh yeah,
if you're gonna take your money and put it here, do it this way.
Really, one of the best things he ever told me was, I go to him and I was like, "Man, these cops planting dope."
Planning dope.
Yeah, they was planting dope on us.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't catch us. They couldn't figure out how to catch us with dope. I came up with a theory was that we don't keep dope in the house. We bring it in the house, we wear it up. As soon as we wear it up, we throw it in the trunk of a car, put the car down the street in front of somebody else's house. So they was never going to catch us with dope unless they caught us like right during that time that we was weighing it up.
That specific instance.
And then we started weighing it up at 3 a.m, 4 a.m, like odd hours of the day when most people would be asleep. So people wouldn't see us going in houses or something like that. Because, people would see me sometime and recognize me and be like, "Oh, that's Rick Ross." So we just started doing it when most people would be asleep, so nobody wouldn't really recognize us. So the cops couldn't catch us with dope. And back then, it wasn't no conspiracy, well, conspiracy, somebody got to get caught with some dope, with a conspiracy, or somebody got to come in and say that you had some dope. But anyway, they started planting the drugs on us. They started raiding the house and would literally take dope out of their pocket and plant it in the house, or take bags of dope out of their trunk of their car.
And so how did your lawyer tell you to navigate through that?
Well, when I told him about it, he didn't believe it. California.
Yeah, no, that's a crazy thing.
Yeah, ain't nobody doing no shit like that in California. So he said, if I knew some cops was crooked like that there, I would hire a private investigator to investigate the cops. That's what I did.
So you would hire a private investigator. Now, this would be pre them planting drugs or after?
They'd already been planting drugs. They had planted drugs on my people already. They hadn't planted drugs on me.
And you knew who these cops were?
Yeah.
So you would say,
that was the Freeway Task Force. They was named after me.
So you would hire a private investigator to investigate those cops.
Yeah.
And just get shit on them.
Yeah.
That's great. What was the craziest thing that your PI dug up on a cop?
This one guy was in the bed with his girl, and he had a fish tank right next to his bed. Well, one of the pumps had a shortage in it, so it was electrocuting. They stuck the guy onto the wire and electrocuted him.
So the cops did that to someone.
Yeah.
And your PI witnessed this.
He didn't witness it, but the defendants or the witnesses told him that that's what happened to him. Another one was my partner. We used to have big safes, probably like the size of this table in our apartments. And they wanted him to open the safe. And he wouldn't open it. So they took a trash bag and put over his head.
Fuck. Some real torture and shit to try to suffocate
They
him.
got indicted for that. For putting a trash bag over his head, smothering him.
Wow. So it was almost like against their best interest to fuck with you in that way, because you had a fucking guy who was gonna, I guess, overturn all that shit.
Well, eventually we got it all overturned. When I turned my investigation in, 150 people got out of prison.
When you ended up going in, or when you ended up turning
When they
in what your
indicted me,
PI got?
they eventually indicted me.
Okay.
So when they indicted me,
You had all this shit that your PI had accumulated.
yeah, we were like, "Oh, you gonna go to trial with these guys? This
this is what we got on them.
This your witnesses?
Right.
Let me show you who
Some
your
terrible witnesses.
Let me show you who your witnesses is.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's how I beat my first case.
Shout out to your PI, huh? Is he, I mean, that's your lawyer and your PI in the 80s. God bless him. They had to top of the line guy.
Frenchie, he probably dead now too. Though.
His name was Frenchie?
Frenchie, yeah.
Shout out to
He was
Frenchie.
an ex-cop.
Shout out, I mean, so he knew.
Yeah, he knew the ropes.
He knew the ropes.
But those are the guys that you get for investigators. You know, if you doing an investigation on cops, you know, you want somebody who's been there, done that.
That's some real shit. When you're coming up in LA in the 80s, the early stages of gangster rap, Ice-T, I think of Ice-T, I think of guys like that. Like, how much was like hip hop and guys like Ice and you know, obviously NWA was a little bit later.
We were more on Tiny T, Master Spade, King T.
King T, Master Spade, yeah. I was gonna say, like, it's kind of like you know, hip hop and the crack era kind of run synonymous with each other in a lot of ways.
Oh, definitely. You know, Ice-T did the documentary Planet Rock. You
Right.
know, how hip hop stole from the dope game.
But I guess, did you also kind of recognize that this hip hop thing was becoming like a real thing that
I did not.
because back then a lot of people thought it was a fad, or it was like it wasn't real music, or it wasn't going to last long.
That's what Otis and Dick Griffey and them told me, that it was going to be like disco.
Because disco was there and then it wasn't.
Exactly, and that's why I miss hip hop. If it wouldn't have been for that, if they wouldn't have told me that, I would have been the king of hip hop without question. Nobody. I remember when Russell Simmons was running around LA broke.
Wow,
I remember that.
and you had the money to really. You could have been the death row out of LA. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, shit, man. Yeah,
But it ain't too late.
it ain't too late.
No, you know, I still got to get my money out of the music industry. See, what I do is
You got to go tap in with Anita Baker and get your money back.
No, I'm gonna get it out. I'm gonna get it out of hip hop. Hip hop
fair.
gonna pay me.
I like it. I mean, shit. Did you end up winning the Rick Ross lawsuit?
No, I lost that.
You did lose it. What was the reason that you lost it? Because it seemed like it was a pretty.
Well, if somebody does something to you, you get 2 years to sue.
It's like a statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations.
So you were past that.
I should have filed before I got 5 days before I got out of prison. I should have filed my lawsuit. But the judge wasn't gonna. The judge was gonna find a way to let him out.
Did you and the rapper Rick Ross ever have any talk, or was it
We
kind of?
spoke on the phone before.
You
when I
guys
was
did
in prison.
speak. Okay.
Yeah. It's a you know when he was.
You're probably like, yo, you out there running around with my name, huh?
It was crazy. When one of the youngsters, you know, my little youngsters that I had in jail, you know, that studied under me. One of them ran in one day with a magazine, boom, and he showed me XXL. Hey, man, look at this dude. He stole your name. I was like, huh? So I go get on the phone. I start calling everybody. Hey, man, you know this dude? X, you know this dude? And
yeah.
So finally,
you got in contact.
I hit one of my guys in New York. He's like, man, he going to be in my office Monday. I was like, oh, yeah? He's like, yeah, call at 9 o'clock. So when I called, he just handed me the phone. He didn't even know who it was.
Yo, stop at the interview. Got to tell you about our good folks at Odd Socks, man. Listen, go to oddsocksofficial.com. Use the promo code 20% off. Save 20% off some of the craziest socks. You know, they got the Ninja Turtle joints. Shout out to Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to SpongeBob. Plus, they got the Odd Socks Basics. These are my boys right here. I love these right here. You get the plain black, the plain white. Very comfortable. Most comfortable socks in the world, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Plus, underwear, y'all. Cheez-It draws. Come on, what are we doing? Go to oddsocksofficial.com. Use the promo code BOOTLEG and save 20% off. The most comfortable underwear in the world. Fuck all that other bullshit y'all be wearing on your ass. Throw all the Methicas in the trash. All that PSD shit, all that shit is all... Listen, man. Put them Odd Socks on your ass cheeks and thank me later. At your peak, liquidity-wise, what is the most amount of money you had at one time?
I don't know, 3.5 million, 3.2 million, something like that there.
It
didn't really matter. See, I didn't really care about how much money I had. I wanted to know how much money I could spend every day.
You were spending a lot.
You know, if I could make 200, 300,000 every day, I was good.
How much were you spending a month at your peak when you were
on dope?
No, I'm just on. Were you like a flashy guy?
Nah.
Because you probably would have got caught a lot earlier had you.
Yeah, no, I bought mostly houses. I was
businesses, assets.
Business freak. You know, like I'll be riding down the street and I see a house. Oh, look at that abandoned house right there. Get the address, call my girls. Hey, I want to get this house. Go get it.
When you get incarcerated, obviously, before that happens, I'm sure you had a close circle of people who helped you with your affairs, who helped you with what you were doing. What happens to them when you go to jail?
Disappear. When the money runs out, everybody runs out. No more girls.
That's crazy.
Gets lonely. Jail is a lonely place.
I was gonna say because like
there.
You had to trust somebody enough to like handle certain shit. Once you like, if you know it's coming.
Once you get a life sentence, it's theirs. It's no longer yours. Don't belong to you anymore.
How much money?
What do you need it for?
I was gonna say, how much cash do you think was taken from you by people you know once you got that sentence? Because I'm sure you had cash around.
Who knows, man? I mean, I've lost so much money in my lifetime. You know, people running off and beat me out of money. The numbers, it would be crazy.
It'd be crazy to think about.
If we could put it together.
What I appreciate about what you've been doing since you got out is just like the positive influence you've been, like you were talking earlier. You know, I feel like your story is an inspiring one because a lot of people might be in that position that you're in and give up, or
I ain't gave up. I'm going full steam ahead.
Well, that's what I mean. You got out and you just picked right back up.
Well, no, I picked up in jail. I taught myself how to read while I was in jail.
That's how
I got out. I got myself out of prison.
Why did they let you out early?
Because I told them that they charged me under the 3-strike law, and I told them I wasn't a 3-striker. And then I showed them I wasn't a 3-striker.
And then you had to get out.
And they had to let me out.
That's a beautiful thing.
Or go against their books. And one thing about them, they don't like going against their books. Once they write it on their paper, it's hard for them to go against those. So when I was in prison, I went hard, man. I read over 300 books while I was gone.
What's the most important book you've ever read?
I would say the 3 most important.
Give me the 3.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Richest Man in Babylon by George Classy.
That's a great book.
And As a Man Think by James Allen. And those books allowed me to go back over my life in the dope game and break it down and to see how I could use those same skills to do the things that I'm doing right now.
Richest Man in Babylon, they made us read it in high school. And
Where you went to high school at?
Phoenix, Arizona.
They should be that book. I believe that book should be in every school in this country.
Economics class, right? But it was for people who don't know, you should go check it out. It's really extremely basic principles a financial literacy, but not told in that specific way, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like how you should spend money, how you should save money, like, you know.
All my guys, I ask all my guys to read it. You know, my boxers.
And it's not a long book.
No, it's a short book.
It's a very short, easy read. Everyone should go check it out.
Short book.
So in
the rappers that I work with, boxers that I work with, anybody that want to work with me, my assistants, I ask them all to read those books.
Now that you're, you know, you got the book's been out for 5 years. We talked about that. You're working with.
I got another book that's been out about a year.
What, like, give us the grand scheme of everything you have going on now. You know,
the books, the movie is budgeted.
Yeah, so let's talk about the movie first, because your movie's got to be. This can't just be a fucking straight to TV type.
Oh no, this theater.
This has to be. When we think about how big Snowfall is, and I know that Snowfall, I mean, officially isn't about you, but the movie's got.
Everybody think it is.
The movie's got to be fucking crazy.
Absolutely.
Like Michael B. Jordan or somebody crazy got to play you.
I don't know. I like that kid, Childish Gambino.
Childish Gambino would be crazy. Donald Glover playing you would be crazy.
I think he would kill it.
I don't disagree. That's what I was going to ask you. Like,
he's the hardest guy in the world to get it. I've been looking for that guy for 3 years.
I mean, he is a very eclectic human. He is.
Nobody knows him.
His show Atlanta is amazing. I don't know if you've seen it. It's good.
I haven't saw it, but I just like his demeanor. You know, I think that he could pull it off.
I just don't want to see your movie ending up like the Gotti movie that John Travolta starred in recently, because that was straight to Amazon and it was terrible.
No, I don't want to go straight to Amazon.
Your story is so crazy. It's got to be bankrolled. It's got to just be
we got a nice budget for a black movie.
It's got to be a moment, man. It's got to be a moment. I'll tell you that.
We got Reginald Hudlin directing.
Dope. You guys haven't casted it yet?
No, we haven't cast it yet.
Are you guys going to make the movie and then shop it around, or do you guys already have distribution?
My friends have distribution already.
Okay.
Yeah, they got a put deal. So we pretty tight. You know, I'm pretty dope in the movie scene too. Like a lot of people don't know. You know, I used to screen movie scripts when I was in jail.
So they could let you, like, you could tell them this is bullshit. This isn't how it would go down.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. I used to have stacks of movie scripts.
What's the movies that they had you look through that we might know while you were locked up?
Which one? Oh man, I don't remember. Man, I know it was one about these people who were. They were stealing kidneys, selling kidneys.
Oh shit!
And they both had boxes. This was a crazy movie. They both had boxes, containers. One had a kidney, and one had a bag of dope, and they got mixed up. You know, they went to the same restaurant to meet somebody, and the guy with the kidney gave the guy that was trying to buy the dope the kidney, and the guy with the kidney gave the dope to the guy who needed the kidney. So now. You know, the guy with the kidney, he's sweating because he about to die.
Right.
And the guy with the dope, it was crazy. That was one of the craziest ones I ever. And they made the movie about that too. It made it to.
So the movie's coming. You're obviously speaking at a bunch of different places, which is, I think.
Yep. I'm doing that.
The weed shit.
Yeah, matter of fact, I just come from out working on my grow spot yesterday. I've been working. I'm building a 40,000 square foot grow spot right now.
That's got to be so ironic and weird to be like, I just got I mean, obviously it's cocaine and weed is two separate things, but I mean, weed in your day was...
For me to have a license, you know. Like,
yeah, and you're like out here like selling drugs legally now.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
And I want a dispensary, so I got a dispensary coming soon. You know, the music, I'm working with Dom Kennedy now.
Dom's a great guy.
Man, Dom.
Good friend.
Last week I had lunch with James Fauntleroy. Matter of fact, 2 days in 1 week, you know.
Nice.
I'm with James Fauntleroy for 2 days in 1 week. So that was like, damn, who get to do that? You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Private restaurants where they tape your phone up. You know, you can't take pictures when you go into the restaurant. So, you know, I just found out how to get myself in places that most people can't get in. You know, and right now I got the champ with me. You know, he flew out here from Detroit. Come on, man. Let me introduce you to him.
You have to jump over the cord.
This is one of my one of my young guys. I'm advising him. He's a fighter and a rapper.
Yeah. Fighter and a rapper.
Yeah, artist, all entertainment.
Wait, take the mic. Plug your shit, man.
What up, though, man? It's Abdullah Kidar out of Detroit, Michigan. You know, flew to LA, tap in with Big Unc. We right here with Bootleg Kev going crazy.
Shout out to Detroit. I got to go out to Detroit soon. I'm supposed to go out there and shoot some shit with Babyface Ray.
Oh, yeah, come to the D, East Side. You good.
Detroit's going crazy right now.
Oh, man. Yeah, the whole culture. We really like, I want to say the next Atlanta, because we really put Atlanta on for real.
I mean, I can't go there with you, but
shout out,
no, right now Detroit got it.
We right now.
Shout out Babyface Ray, Peasy, 42 Doug, Payroll Giovanni,
the whole city going crazy.
Icewear Vezo,
Ice, everybody, GT.
Yeah, Detroit's going crazy,
and we all it's like the streets coming out to the industry now. Like all the rappers you just named, they like street rappers. They're not industry, so like they kind of.
Eminem. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Like we got Yachty coming to the city now.
No, for sure. Yachty did a whole album with T Grizzly.
Exactly. You know, we got
the whole Detroit theme. No, he did it wasn't an album. He did a Michigan themed album.
Yeah,
with a bunch of Detroit artists. Yeah,
Michigan boy. But it was cool. So, you know, we all coming up.
What you said though make a lot of sense because what we had been saying in jail is that the music business followed the dope game. Wherever the dope game went, the music scene started to flourish, and when Meech and them went to Atlanta, you know, they helped that thing start to jail because you need some of the trimmings to go with. You
ever communicate with someone like Big Meech?
Yeah, Meech started writing me when he first fell.
Wow.
Wendy Day hooked us up. She wanted me to advise him on how to do his case, and when he told me they offered him the 30 years, you know, I told him that it was a good idea to take it. I said 30 years beat a life sentence. You know, I knew guys, and that's because I had knew guys who had the opportunity to take 30 and didn't, and got the life and did 30 years. So you can do 30, but you couldn't do life.
Right.
So sometimes, you know, you might look at it like, oh, that's a lot of time, but at the end of the day, you got a date.
And 30 might be 25.
Meech he probably only like 3 years to the house now.
That shit's crazy.
You know, he done did that shit. So you just think that he could have went hard and got the life sentence and we'd be like, oh, he ain't got no date.
Did 50 Cent ever try to reach out to you to do?
Yeah, 50 called me the day I got out of jail.
Because I feel like he's been doing such a good job of telling the BMF story with his show. You know?
But we wasn't able to put nothing together, you know.
He might be able to do a much more accurate version of what Snowfall is, but like having you directly involved, maybe.
No, I can do my own movie.
This is true.
I know enough I read enough books on producing movies.
That's true.
I read about 4 or 5 books on producing movies. When I go talk to him, you know, when I got out, I met with Ori Emanuel. I met with Jeff Burr, Spencer Boomer,
everybody,
Michael Linton. The 4 biggest guys in Hollywood, you know, going to 50 Cent, that's like a step down.
100%. I feel you.
So once I meet the top guys and they didn't show me, you know, I didn't think none of those guys was that smart.
That's fair.
They couldn't even figure out how I got in their offices.
They're like, wait,
how'd you get here?
That's crazy.
I was like, I was invited.
So when it comes to working with someone like him, and you're helping advise him, like what are some of the things that you're doing for somebody like your guy right here?
Well, what I'm showing him is that a lot of these guys, they're not their own men. You know, they don't make their own decisions. They don't really think for themselves. They got other people basically. They're almost like puppets. You know, when you look at most of these guys, they can't do what they want to do. You know, like with me, I do whatever I want to do. I go when I want to go. I go to sleep when I want to go to sleep. I eat what I want to eat. Nobody pays my bills. I pay my own bills. So that's the way you gotta be if you wanna have. I mean, if you ain't got no nuts if you can't do that. You know, you gotta tone down to what other people tell you have to do. You know, and that's what when I met with those guys in Hollywood that I just named to you. You know, Ori Emanuel tell me that I'm gonna have to be listening to Mark Wahlberg. No, I don't have to listen to Mark Wahlberg. You know, I don't have to listen to nobody because I already knew that I was gonna get out here and blaze my own trail. You know, I get mine out the streets $20 at a time. I just stack them 20s up. You ain't got to give me, you know, 100,000.
Well, you know, most people that's the downfall to the music industry is most artists are vulnerable and they get that. They'd rather take that upfront bag, even though the terms are terrible, than take the slow monthly bag or the slow residual income.
Yeah, I like that though. That's why I self-published my book. That's why I told them don't go to Amazon and get it.
Get it from your website. I respect it.
I got a little artist right now I'm trying to sign. I got a 16-year-old kid. I ain't gonna mention his name.
Okay. Because then you might pop. Someone might steal him from you.
Yeah. You know how they do. So
that's what's up, man.
And then we gonna probably go to the studio tonight. You know what I'm saying? And was he hot too? He hot on the mic. Not only can he fight, but he can rap too.
Are you getting back into real estate at all?
I am, but I'm a wait. You know, I got my credit right, and you know now with my marijuana grow, you know I should be making
a lot of money,
million and a half a month. You know what I'm saying? So
something like
I get into real estate then.
Something like,
and that's real estate. You know, my building, I own the building.
There it is. And that is definitely
real estate. You know what I'm saying?
Did you ever franchise any shit? Did you ever have like a Subway or like a McDonald's back in the day?
Nah, I didn't know how to do that. You know, I was a ghetto boy.
Okay.
You know, my mom, the only job she ever had was cleaning offices and cutting grass. So, you know, you in order to do those type of things, you have to have somebody in your life that has already done that.
You didn't have that circle of people at the moment.
My guys just carry guns, right. You know. They didn't carry books. They carry guns. So when you have people who's coming from those lifestyles, then you can't expect anything else from them. And that's why I feel it's so important for me to be successful, because there's so many young men, you know, like him who need somebody like me to show them how far they can go. Like don't limit yourself to just this. You know, the world is yours. You can do anything that anybody else in this world can do. And that's how I feel. And that's what I try to teach my guys, is that don't let nobody muffle you down and tell you how far you can grow and how far you can go, because they don't know what you can do.
Facts.
You know, I don't know what you can do, you know. So you have to be the one that tells yourself where your limits are and where you want to stop.
Last thing I wanted to ask you about, because I feel like what's going on right now with fentanyl and all the overdoses and people getting turned out over all these opiates, it's probably like the craziest like surge of like a drug that's kind of like taken over in terms of like national media attention, probably since crack in the 80s, right?
Yep.
When you see what's going on with fentanyl right now, and like how a lot of these pharmaceutical companies are kind of skating because they're the source of the problem, and you know, really, do you see the parallels and kind of what was going on in the 80s to what's going on now with fentanyl?
Well, fentanyl kills its customers. You know, with crack, we didn't kill our customers. I didn't want my customers to die. I wanted them to live, because I know as long as they live, they was going to be bringing me that money. And if you're killing your customers, you know, almost like the cigarette companies, you got to recruit. And I didn't want to recruit. I just wanted to keep the same people keep coming.
Keep on repeat customers.
Yeah, we keep repeat.
We always think of people who will sell stuff to get crack. What's the most random thing someone brought to you in exchange for crack? A dope smoker, not somebody who was trying to sell, but like, what's the craziest thing someone showed up to you with and said, "Hey, take this. I need this. I need my fix."
Man, people done offered everything, man, from their wives.
Someone offered you their wife.
Yeah.
Did you take it?
No, it was my homeboy.
Your homie offered you his wife to get his fix.
He thought I liked his wife.
So he's like, "Yo, you can fuck her. I just need some crack."
Exactly.
What the fuck? That's crazy. What's the craziest thing you accepted? How about that?
I didn't really have to, because
you weren't on that level.
I didn't stay on the streets long.
In the transition,
I was probably on the streets about 2 or 3 months.
Right. You were by the time you would really getting it going, you didn't even, the hand to hand shit was
over. My hand to hand was real short. You know, I was able to. I got lucky because when I started, when my mom put me out the house, I moved in with my cousin. My cousin stayed right around the corner from a PCP spot. So all the guys who sold PCP smoked crack.
That's crazy.
So every time they would get $100, they would come and see me. So mine went from making $20 to $500 a day, like really quick. As soon as I when I met the PCP guys, all the PCP guys, you know, it's like 10 or 15 of them out there. So now I'm making $100 from each one. If they make $400 that day, they're going to give me $100.
Oh, that's crazy. Someone offered you their wife. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I can imagine that that's wild. Well, listen, man, is there anything going on like this very moment you would like to promote?
Yeah, we got a big fight up in Philadelphia on the 25th of this month with my man Bashan Champ.
Okay.
Y'all be checking him out. Another one of my guys.
You're working a lot with fighters.
Well, that's my main passion right now. The weed, and well, my passion is to take over boxing.
Did you get any pointers from Jay Prince?
No.
Because Jay Prince had his bouts with, obviously managing Floyd Mayweather and
Jay, Jay doing his thing.
I mean,
we're gonna probably be more like competitors because we're gonna be going for the same guys. Pretty soon my guy's gonna be beating his guys up, and and anybody else's guys. We want them belts. We want to be the best guys, and not for the money because we already gonna be rich. We finna have more money than sin, but we just gonna want to go in the ring and beat somebody up. You know what I'm saying?
So the boxing is the 25th. It's in Philly. The fight
in Philly, yeah.
So be on the lookout.
And it'll be streamed on Fight TV.
Oh, I got Fight TV.
Oh, you got Fight TV? Well,
yeah,
you get to see it.
I think I saw a fight. It was one of the Paul fights where he fought. I think Tyron Woodley was on there. That was on Fight TV, right? One of those were. It was the one that wasn't on Triller. It was on Fight TV because that shit's on my TV.
Anybody that want to
FITE.
If they want to know exactly where to get it, they can go to my page, freewayRickyRoss.com.
Boom.
Or Freeway Rick on Instagram, Freeway Ricky Ross on Facebook, and TikTok is Freeway Rick, and Twitter's Freeway Rick. What's your social media? So if anybody want to follow you,
on my Instagram, packboy.ppk, man. Tap in with your baby.
There it is.
Across all platforms. You feel me? We here. We taking over this year. It's gonna be a good year for us.
There it is. Appreciate you and your time, man.
Thank you, man. That was a good interview.
Yes, sir.
You asked me some different stuff.
All right, we was off camera. You were talking about. I asked you about doing Joe Rogan. You said you were one of the first Joe Rogan interviews. How many times have you done the Joe Rogan show?
Twice.
You say you were like number 80 or something.
Yeah, something like that. I was right in that number. I might have been a little earlier than that, maybe even. So I go on Joe Rogan's show, right, and I'm fucked up at the time. You know what I'm saying? They just took Mom's house. You see my documentary when they put us out our Mom's.
I've seen it a long time.
They just put us out the house, and I go do the Joe Rogan show. But I'm wearing it with like fuck it. I when I left prison, I was already like shit. Whatever I gotta do. If I'm homeless, sleeping in the car, I don't care. I'm gonna win. Like I'm just a billionaire sleeping in the car. So when I go to the Joe Rogan show, I was like, man, Joe, I'm fucked up. And he was like, man, you need a T-shirt. And I almost put my head on the table like, oh, mother, a T-shirt, man, give me some money. Yeah. I need a boost. So I leave the show, man. I'm walking downtown, and this young white kid come up to me, and he's like, hey, Rick, I heard you on the Joe Rogan show. He all geeked and shit like that. And I'm like, oh, man. He's like, man, I got an idea for a T-shirt. And I was like, oh, another one of them motherfuckers, right? And he said, the real Rick Ross is not a rapper. And I say to myself, that's the corniest shit in the world. But one thing I notice about me is I keep an open mind. Mm-hmm. Even though I might feel like a certain way, I ain't gonna like just say like my way is the only way. So I said, all right, let's do it. The dude say, I'll print the T-shirt, I'll design and everything. I don't know who this kid either, right? So he designed the T-shirt. I come to his shop. We take some pictures with me wearing the shirt. Mm-hmm. He give me 100 shirts. I leave out, and I sell all those shirts that same day.
Wow.
So at this time, I got Joe's direct number. I can call Joe whenever I get ready.
Yeah.
So I called Joe. I was like, hey, man, you told me to do that T-shirt. Well, I did it. I got a T-shirt. He's like, all right, I'm going to set you up to come back on the show. So the next week, I go back on the show. And I take Joe one of the T-shirts, because I was doing them with really nice material, the new T-shirts. So I gave Joe the shirt. Joe put the shirt on camera. And next week, man, my PayPal hit like $18,000. Like, bing, bing, bing. That thing just kept going, bing, 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 bing. We thought it was broke. $18,000 was in my PayPal, man. We went and got us an apartment, and I ain't looked back since.
So that moment kind of helped. At that time was you needed that money. I mean,
no, we was fucked up. Man, I had 2 babies. I had 2 brand new babies. Damn. Me and my girl, because I wanted to have a son as soon as I got home because I knew my time was running. I'm an old man now.
Right. So as soon as you got home, you got to work.
Well, I've never raised a kid.
Right.
And I've always wanted to, you could say I raised my younger brothers, but I slipped on them because I would let them go and do their own thing. But with my babies, they don't get to do nothing. It's like,
of course,
straight.
So Joe Rogan wearing that T-shirt kind of helped out a lot, man.
I can't even say how many shirts that thing sold because IRS gonna be on my ass. It did so well. That T-shirt did so well that right now it's like 5 or 6 websites that's bootlegging that T-shirt.
That's so crazy. I feel like I've seen it like at the swap meet for sure.
The real Rick Ross is not a rapper.
Yeah.
I still wear it.
Oh, it's there.
There it is right there. I still wear that joint.
Go to the website and buy one right now. When someone who's known Joe Rogan as long as you have, and you see the controversy with, what's going on with him, what are your thoughts on that whole situation?
I don't think Joe's a racist. There's a lot of people say it. I used to use the N-word. I used to use the N-word. But it's okay for us to use it. It's a little different
when you use it, obviously.
Yeah. but it's I don't know. But I don't feel like Joe Rogan is racist. I think he's getting a bad rap for using the word, and he apologized, and I don't believe he'll ever use it again.
Would you go back on his show?
Yeah, I do Joe tomorrow. I'll sell 1 million books.
I say you'll sell a lot more books, a lot more T-shirts now.
Yeah. If I go on Joe's show right now, my book probably wound up being the best. My book already. I don't really need nobody to do what I do, right. For real. My book has done some numbers. Mm-hmm. Just the way I sell it, they just don't calculate.
Of course.
I about sold Amazon. Let me say that there. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna let Amazon sell more of my books than I sold.
I respect that.